Remember when you were 7? Summer vacation felt like an absolute eternity. You built epic forts, defeated invisible monsters, and learned how to swim, all before August. But now, you blink, and you're suddenly buying winter tyres. Another entire year just gone. Did somebody hit fast forward on the universe? Actually, your brain did. Your childhood didn't just feel longer by accident. To your nervous system, it literally lasted longer. And if you want to hit the brakes on time, you need to understand a bizarre mathematical theory. It's called the proportional theory, first proposed in 1877 by a French philosopher named Paul Janet. Here is how it works. When you are 1 year old, a single year is literally 100% of your entire existence. It is everything you have ever known. By the time you turn 5, 1 year is exactly 20% of your life. Still a massive chunk of time, but skip ahead to age 50. Now, a single year is just 2% of your life. It's a tiny sliver of your total memory. So, relatively speaking, waiting 24 days for Christmas at age 5 feels exactly the same as waiting an entire year at age 50. Your brain measures time as a fraction of what it has already lived. Makes sense, right? Case closed. Video over. Well, hold on. There is a massive hole in this theory. Think about it. When you are actually living through a Tuesday afternoon, you are not consciously comparing it to your entire lifespan. You are just trying to survive until 5 p.m. The proportional theory explains why looking back at the past feels fast. But it doesn't explain why time feels fast right now, in the present moment. To understand that, we have to look at how your brain builds memories. Imagine your brain is a video camera. When you are a kid, the camera is always rolling. Everything is brand new. The taste of ice cream, the feeling of wet grass, the panic of losing your mom in the grocery store. Your brain records all of these novel experiences in high definition. It takes a lot of energy, and it creates incredibly dense, rich memories. When you look back on a week filled with new memories, your brain says, wow, we collected so much data. That week must have lasted forever. But as you get older, you run out of firsts. You've already tasted ice cream. You've already walked on grass. You know how the world works. So your brain switches into efficiency mode. It stops recording. Why waste energy saving a memory of your morning commute? You've driven that same highway 1,000 times. Your brain just deletes the footage. It compresses the data. Have you ever driven all the way home from work and suddenly realised you don't remember the drive at all? That is your brain running on autopilot. It didn't record a single frame because nothing new happened. Now, multiply that by an entire year. Wake up, drink coffee, go to work, watch Netflix, go to sleep, repeat. When December rolls around, your brain looks back at the hard drive and finds it almost totally empty. There are no new memory landmarks, so your brain concludes, well, that year must have passed in the blink of an eye. This is called the holiday paradox. When you go on a vacation to a new country, the first 2 days feel like an eternity because you are constantly navigating new streets, hearing new languages, tasting weird new foods. Your brain is furiously writing new data. But by the second week, you know where the coffee shop is. You know how the subway works. The novelty wears off, and the final days of the trip fly by in seconds. So, routine is the enemy of time. But wait, there is more. Because it's not just about memories. It is literally about physics and the speed of your eyeballs. In 2019, a mechanical engineer named Adrian Bajan published a fascinating paper. He argued that our perception of time is tied to image processing. Your eyes don't capture smooth video. They rapidly dart around, taking quick snapshots. These tiny eye movements are called saccades. Between each movement, your brain stitches the images together. When you are a child, your neural pathways are short, fresh, and incredibly fast. Your brain processes thousands of images per minute. It's like playing a video game at 120 frames per second. Because you are receiving so much information, every second feels dense. It feels wide open. But as you age, your brain physically changes. Your neural pathways grow longer and more complex. They build up damage and resistance. The electrical signals take longer to travel, so your brain takes fewer snapshots per second. Your frame rate drops. Instead of 120 frames per second, you are running at 30 frames per second, because your brain is receiving fewer images. It feels like the events are happening much faster. Time literally slips through the cracks of your vision. You are experiencing less of the world, so the world seems to fly by. Combine a slow frame rate with a total lack of new memories, and boom, you are 40 years old and wondering what happened. But surely we can fix this, right? We can't just accept that the rest of our lives will be a blurry fast forward. The good news is you can fight back. You can hack your perception of time. First, you need to understand your internal metronome. Inside your brain, there is a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is the reward chemical, but it also controls your internal sense of timing. When you have a lot of dopamine, your internal clock ticks very fast. And when your internal clock is ticking fast, the outside world seems to move in slow motion. Children are flooded with dopamine. Every new bug they find, every game they play, triggers a massive dopamine release. Their internal clock is racing, so the summer day feels like it stretches on forever. As adults, our dopamine levels drop. We stop getting excited about bugs. Our internal clock slows down to a crawl, which makes the outside world feel like it's speeding up. To reverse this, you have to shock your system. You have to force your brain off autopilot. How? By introducing extreme novelty. Take a completely different route to work, even if it takes 10 minutes longer. Your brain will be forced to wake up and map the new environment. Learn a difficult new skill, like a language or juggling. The intense focus requires heavy processing power. Travel to places you have never been. And not just a resort where you sit by the pool. Go somewhere chaotic, somewhere that confuses you. Confusion forces your brain to hit the record button. Read books about topics you know nothing about. Talk to strangers. Every time you experience a first, you are depositing time into your memory bank. You are expanding the hard drive. Childhood felt long because you were an explorer. The world was vast, dangerous, and completely unknown. Adulthood feels short because you became a passenger. You let routine drive the car, but you can always take the wheel back. You just have to be willing to be a beginner again, to be confused, to be curious. Because the only way to slow down time is to finally step out of your loop.